So this is our, general concepts of how we approach fleet battles. So all of our strategies and builds. I don't think I go into builds too much. I think builds aren't really that important. But so we'll go over, New Republic, the compositions and the jobs that you have, the opening, the mid-game offense and defense, and then end-game flagship offense. I think flagship defense is pretty much the same as the middle game defense. So I don't really address it here. And if you have questions about that, we can go over that too. So, general concepts of team comp and responsibilities. So, Arios is our hard PK. So he's always on targets when you have people to kill. Otherwise, he's putting on objective damage. So doing cap strip damage and stripping turrets off of the frigates. Rinky and D-Strick are both our flex players. So they do objective and PK. I think their main focuses are doing objective, and then when they have ion missile up, they will go hunt for people. That's the general concept of that. And then I play a hard objective, so I'm pretty much always doing cap ship damage or killing AI. I'm really not shooting at people much, and if you watch a lot of our gameplay, I usually end up with 0 kills. It's very common. And then Pseudo plays support / soft objective for us, so he's usually playing support, mask, and mark. We don't really play anything else. And then he plays objective for defense to nuke the raider, and we'll talk about that later. So, New Republic, Arios flies an X-Wing. He's always carrying an ion missile. Rinky plays X-Wing. He's always carrying an ion missile. D-Strick plays Y-Wing on opening. That's pretty much it, unless we call a rotation for him to play Y-Wing on defenses. And when he's playing X-Wing, he's always carrying ion missile as well. And then when we have a lot of defenders on the enemy team, we will sometimes play A-Wing. We haven't played A-Wing much the current meta, and maybe that will change, but we don't, we haven't. The meta changed on Tuesday, so we're still flexing it out a little bit. I'm mostly playing Y-Wing on offenses and defense. Sometimes I'll switch into X-Wing for cap ship offense if I died on defense and we flipped. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I'm always in X-Wing for flagship offense, and I'm always carrying an ion missile. D-Strick, Rinky, and I are always carrying ion missile conch, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we play anything else. Pseudo's mostly on a U-Wing. He plays Y-Wing for cap ship and flagship defenses to nuke the raider. So, Empire side, Arius is always in a defender, pretty much. I don't think we've played much different than that. He carries ion missile and I think quick locks. Rinky plays a defender. He's always carrying an ion missile, and then he plays, I think, conch with his defender. Difference here is Aris is always playing Plasma Burst. Rinky, D-Strick, and I always play Burst Cannon in our defenders and our X-Wings up here. So, with the current meta, D-Strick's been playing pretty much 100% TIE Bomber on Empire. He can play defender. He just hasn't been lately. And then for me, I'm playing Bomber on openers. On defenses, usually on capital ship offense, I'll play Bomber, and then flagship, I play Bomber or Defender. Just depends on where I'm in or what I'm in at the moment. And then I don't ever carry an ion missile in my Defender, so I'm playing Burst Cannon, Conch Missile, and Clusters. Pseudo's almost always in a Reaper, and then he plays Bomber for cap ship and flagship defense. Same concept as New Republic for Raider Burn. So does anybody have questions about this so far?
So Cheese.
Yeah.
What if did you guys decide that the idea of the ion stripper for hard objective was kind of just a waste of like time in the phases?
Yes.
I know that. Okay.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the mid game where you're talking about those capital ship offenses, but switching is really bad. So taking from the flip to go back to base, switch, and come back out is a whole minute of game time. And so if you notice in a lot of SCL games that we played, our offenses before you go to the flagship are around a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So if you're wasting a time to go back and switch, that's half your time that you've wasted, and it's a big deal. So we don't swap anymore. We play bombers on offense, and we'll just rip shields off of the cruisers if we need to, or the frigates or whatever.
Right, I've been noticing that on your last matches I've watched. Time is the most valuable resource on your inventory, and it has paid out.
Yep.
So I see the logic behind it.
Any other questions on concepts, the builds, of the composition that we're running here?
Yeah. Do you, with the most recent patch, do you anticipate changing, especially like Mark Mask and your support, or any of the other options?
Well,
I don't think so.
For support specifically, Mark is staying on. Like, Mark is amazing. There's no reason to swap out of it. The 5 seconds of extra cooldown doesn't really change that. Mask, I'm considering moving to Tractor Beam for more of the game. I have not yet done so. But Mask is still really good too. You just have to be far more careful about when you use it.
Gotcha.
So you're thinking Tractor for defense?
Mask on launch, Mask on flag offense, everything else Tractor is the concept I'm playing around with.
Mark here. Is the using the bomber instead of the support in defense worth it? You lose marks on enemies as well as on the raider.
Yeah, so I think it is. I don't think Mask and Mark are that strong on defense. I think we've kind of always felt that way, but we just didn't want to change out of it. And then we finally went about and changed it. I think killing the raider faster is really important. And I don't think confirming kills, especially with the patch that came Tuesday, is very hard for PK without Mark. I think it's very doable, and especially if teams are playing, Y-Wing Bomber on offense, it's pretty easy for Arios and Rinky to pick up kills.
And it's important to note that as soon as the raider is down, I go back and swap back to support. So it's not the whole defense phase. When it's going to go to defense, I go grab the bomber, we kill the raider, I go back to support.
Gotcha.
To ask if you did any farming or anything.
There's sometimes we do farming with Pseudo, and sometimes we do farming with D-Strict, and I talk about that a little. I bring that up a little bit later, but yeah. So there's like Pseudo will bring Goliath to maybe get a pack of AI before the raider gets there, because it's not like instantly there on the front lines. So we're very cognizant of that, and then trying to just nuke AI as fast as possible. Because the faster you kill AI, the faster they'll respawn and get on your side.
Do you see any value in having 2 bombers that can flex between Raider Burn and Farm?
Yes, and we talk about that too. So that's definitely something we do. So it's not Suda that's the only person killing the cap ships or the raiders. Let's move on. Unless people have questions about the actual compositions.
I do have a question about the composition on the defenders. Specifically the burst laser ASM combo. With the ion missiles, are you using those ASMs to bait for the ion missiles and then using the burst lasers to supplement anything you would be doing to subsystems instead of the TOC?
So you'd have to ask Arios. I don't think Arios is using ASM to bait Chaff or anything like that. So Arios is the only one that brings ASM. And I think he's using it just to finish off kills because of the stronger tracking versus Conch missile.
And one other question for the composition. Nope, I don't see any TIE fighters or any TIE interceptors on this. So those just like super situational, or you just never use them?
TIE fighter is outclassed by the TIE defender if you know how to fly it, pretty much. Even against teams that run heavy ICT, I don't think TIE fighter is worth playing. TIE int, I know Scalp runs it, but we don't. It's mostly due to the concept that Arios plays Plasburst, and Plasburst is pretty bad on a TIE int.
And interceptors don't get ion missile.
That too. Yeah, a lot of our concepts build around ion missile, if you can't tell.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to remember at the higher level, if you don't ice them, you're not going to kill them.
Right, it's just too hard.
Yeah, I'm still and torpedoes are like semi-viable.
Yeah, I think torpedoes are kind of trash. I think I'm one of the strongest people that are against torpedoes and will never run them. So
torpedoes. I'm a big torpedo fan, or used to be a big torpedo fan. The problem with torpedoes is they're really easy to counter on two fronts. One, you can get some asshole fly in front of you at the last minute and chaff, and that fucks up your entire run, especially if the torpedoes are already out. And two is the long lockup time that you have to deal with. That makes you a sitting duck for a heads up PKer. So
you also have low capacity.
And you also have low capacity. You have to take your time to line up another run. So what I've been seeing, most top teams, what they do is they value the ability to deal continuous damage, even at slower amounts, over the ability to deliver a high alpha strike. Because if you can do lower damage over more time, you end up accumulating more damage.
So would you use beam over torpedoes then?
No, I'm not trying to leak anything right now because I'm not sure if it's good or not. But we don't play meme beam much. I think the only times we play it is Pseudo. Yeah, Pseudo plays it for Raider Burn because it's the fastest DPS. And then if you think about it, Torps do what? 3k damage with Proton and 2k with Piercing. If you were able to get with an X-Wing, multiple passes, you're getting 500, damage out per second. If you're an overcharge, you're at 750 or whatever. So Torps are great and all, but you can deal plenty of damage with just burst cannons.
Yeah, I've definitely got some mileage out of burst cannons the last couple of days.
So what are you running on your Y-Wing?
I run Goliath MLM, and so does
Oh,
D-Strict.
really? Okay.
Yep.
That seems to do pretty well.
Yep. So we go. So let's go into that. So opening composition wise, we run 2 X-Wings or TIE Defenders. So this is Rinky and Arios. We have 2 Y-Wings and TIE Bombers. That's me and D-Strict, and then Pseudo's in the support. And so the general concept is I take 2 AI packs by myself. I find prior research is to find the best dumbfire pack and then the nearest pack to that dumbfire. D-Strict gets put on an island and has to go for the hardest AI pack by himself. Rinky will always dump his ion missile into the Raider. Arios has a decision to make whether he dumps his ion missile into the Raider, which will strip shields on the Raider, or if he sees an easy kill, he will use his ion missile to get a kill. Rinky will follow up and help kill this disabled target. Pseudo then, so in the middle of all of this, Pseudo mask. At the very last moment, he marks and then he falls back. And then after D-Strict and I get AI kills, we nuke the Raider. Or if I see AI coming back from spawn and I'm not getting pressured, I will sit out in middle space and just keep killing AI as they come back in. Because AI, for some reason, boosts back into midfield when you kill them. And the same concept on defense, they boost back. That's why if you ever chase AI and it speeds past you, like it's boosting, it's because it's meeting up with its supposed path. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's meeting up with the squadron.
That
I've
answers
seen that.
a question that I had about that behavior for a long time. Thank you.
Yep.
So if you see an AI boosting, should you just wait till it groups up?
Yes, you should. Trying to chase it and kill it is just going to be a waste of time because you'll never be able to kill it.
Have you figured out what are the ones that boost to the edge of the map?
Say that again.
Usually,
Reword the question.
Sometimes there's single AIs that boost to the edge of the map, and then they even go like beyond the edge of the map. Like on.
Really?
Are you talking about like on Yavin when they go in the?
Yeah, they go into the fog and kill themselves, or Xavian they kill and go into the cloud and kill themselves.
Yeah, I don't know
I feel
why.
like I see it on Nadiri a lot.
Yeah,
too.
that just sounds like an issue with the actual
It
pathing.
sounds like the AI pathing being worked. Yeah.
On Yavin, the normal pathing goes through the clouds.
Yeah, it's really weird. So you just have to wait until they come out. So I'll usually you can see them visually, right? And I'll just wait until they pop back out, and then I'll kill them.
Yeah, on Nadiri, there is a AI on each side that pilot airs immediately.
Yep.
But here's
On the
an
opening,
interesting question about the opening. Do you see any value? For example, let's say that you and D-Strict go for 1 pack each, and you get your dumbfire packs.
Yep.
And
D-Strict doesn't
one of
dumbfire.
Okay, so District gets his MLM pack. You get one Dumbfire, one MLM pack. That's the 3 packs. Do you see any value to collapsing on the Raider as a team, like everybody on the Raider at that point?
That's what we normally do. That's like the concept is after we kill all the AI. It depends. I think with this current state of the game, it might still be worth it to just go kill players now. I think we just have to play it more against competent opponents. But before that, like when we were playing against Splinter, I think even against some of the one other team, everybody killed all the AI. Morale was even, and then we killed the Raider. And he killed the Raider. Morale was even again.
What do you guys do against a team that? What do you do in this situation that you get your 9, you get your 5 on the Dumbfire, District gets his quick 4, and you flip? And what's the play right at that next 10 seconds?
Okay, so if we insta flip, right? I wait a little bit because you can't instantly go on the cruisers or the frigates because they will still kill you. You wait a little bit and then you go. I don't regroup. I start shooting Goliaths and MLMs and rotaring at the Corvette or the frigates and the Raiders.
Okay.
Instantly.
So you don't get the third. You don't turn to the third pack or turn to their bomber.
If we have insta flips, no.
What we've run into is we get the insta flip and then they get their
AI.
9.
Yeah.
And then that's 27 off the top.
Right. That's happened to us before too. But there's not really much you can do, and I think wasting time killing AI for point.
4.1 makes sense.
It's just not worth it.
It's just a gut punch that you just kind of have to swallow at that point.
It's the same concept as like when Splinter was trying to like lose dogfights, but as little as possible, so that they would instantly flip.
Yeah, on the next phase. Yeah.
Not a question, but Dick Willie's on the outside waiting for somebody to let him in.
Oh, okay. He's in. I just
Thank you.
accepted. Sorry.
No worries.
So, the first 10 seconds after the insta flip, what you're saying is you're going to dumbfire a Gallo at the cruiser if you get a line on, kind of like to get something in there, like a kick to the nuts from a distance if you can, just kind of like get a heads up or get a.
No, so the reason
get
why
some ground made up. Sorry, get some ground made up on the shield.
Yeah, so
is that what you're talking about?
No, so the reason why I shoot a dumbfire Gola is just because it's far away, and I'm
it's 2K.
like, it's 2K out. You can't really get there yet, but it's extra damage, so you might as well shoot it, right? So I shoot it, and then I start going in and just laying into it with rotary and MLMs, and then by the time I'm done with my pass, I'm like 200 meters away. Goliath is off cooldown. I launch it, and then I turn around.
And that's your last Goliath, and then you have to go reload.
Nah, fuck reloading.
Yeah, well, you just fired off a dumb Gallo on the kickoff. You just fired off an MLM for the second pack.
Yeah, I agree.
This is assuming.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Okay.
But fuck reloading.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot.
So you're just gonna stay in rotary, deal whatever damage you can until you die.
Yep. Well, don't die. When you're about to die, then you go back. But
when you're about to die, just don't die. That's the best strategy right there.
Yeah. When you're about to die,
the time to retreat is when you're gonna die otherwise.
Yep.
Hey, are you using
I hear you.
the opening?
Yes.
Okay. Pay no attention to the drunk old man.
Yeah. So, and so we've also been trying to do some other things. So D-Shake bringing ion lasers in his Y-wing, and so what D-Shake will do is rip the shields off of the Corvette or the frigates on his first offense, do as much damage as he can, and he's actually trying to tactically die as fast as possible so that he can swap out of the Y-wing.
Yeah, I saw that on Tuesday, and it worked out pretty well on both matches.
Yeah, so we're not like Bomber. He'll stay in TIE Bomber, but in the Y-wing is kind of poopy, so we're rather just get him into an X-wing and play that. It's more effective. It's just
makes sense.
Just trying to get some shield damage in with his MLM, Goliaths, and ion lasers, and then swap. All right. Any other questions about the opening before we move on?
What if the flip goes backward? What if you lose the flip?
So if we lose the flip, we go into mid-game defense immediately. So Pseudo will go back to base, swap out. D-Shirk and I will focus on AI. The same concepts that you do in mid-game defense for capital ship defense. That's what we do.
So you immediately swap to farming, whatever it is available to be farmed, and okay, gotcha.
One question as kind of an addendum to that: have you ever tried to lab out a design where you don't swap on a loss, or is it just not? This is just nothing that works in that situation.
We could not swap. We could keep pseudo in the sport, because pseudo's the only one that will swap.
Used to.
Yeah. It's just pseudo. Never mind then.
Yeah,
I thought,
it's just pseudo that swaps. Nobody else swaps.
Never mind.
Yeah, pseudo goes for Raider burn. That's what he's been.
That
doing.
makes more sense. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot more sense.
So, any other questions before we move on? All right. So, mid game. So these are your capital ship offenses and defenses. So the overall concept says you want to minimize swaps. You use the starfighter you're in for offense and defense. The exception is pseudo here. And then it's okay to swap from bomber to strike fighter, or vice versa if you are dead on the flip. So if D-Shirk or I die and we're about to head into offense, it's okay for us to swap. So on offense, fighters shoot ion missiles into strong side. So if you ever watch our games, we always call strong side, and that's the side that the Raider is on. We always ion missile the shields first. All damage is focused on strong side. Ion missiles are followed up onto weak side when strong side seals are down. PK targets AI farmers and supports, and then we try to strip off turrets on the top of frigates always. That's just like the general concept that we do. I know there's been a little bit of debate internally in the team whether that's worth it or not. I think it is. Rinky doesn't. And,
well, if you got the MLMs, you might as well. And on
this is
on
like
the cruisers, it's easy.
I think you might as well. Harder. Yeah, you might as well.
The debate is whether or not if you would just rather shoot hull.
Yeah,
more
so
damage.
I think the question that we've been asking internally on Glock is for lasers. For lasers, do you use lasers on turrets ever?
Right. That's the concept, right? That's the topic of contention. MLM and Goliath, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. It's do you shoot lasers at turrets or not?
Yeah, and we're leaning towards no.
Yeah, and if it's that's the contention, then yeah, I would lean to Rinky's side with the no then as well.
Yeah,
I would actually lead contrary to the yes, because once you take out a turret, you get a little bit of extra hull damage as a bonus.
But the question is the extra worth it compared to the total damage you would do shooting for that amount of time into just the hull?
Right.
Yeah, well, and the math there is 200 hit points. You are half a second or 200 hit points.
The math is
so. Here's an interesting,
and also the vulnerability that you experience while you're going after those turrets.
Right.
I mean, killing turrets is easy. I don't think killing turrets is the hard part.
No, it's not the issue.
The question here is, does the damage that you deal to a turret transfer over to the cap ship, or is it focused only on the turret until it's destroyed?
It's only on the turret.
Focus on the turret.
You deal damage when it dies, but I don't know if it's as the same as if you had just shot at the hull.
It's 300 to the hull, 500 to pop the turret for the 1%.
Then I agree that it's not worth it, because it would be worth it if the damage transferred over, because you'd be getting a bonus on top of it. But if it's not transferring over, then it's not worth the effort.
Right. I mean, and that's totally
beyond. Sorry, Chese. Beyond the fact that taking turrets out does have the added benefit that it makes it easier to auto phase.
Right. It also makes it easier. You take less damage when you're flying around it. There's a lot of trade-offs for either concept. Right now, we strip turrets off. I think Rinky doesn't shoot them, but Arios and I both shoot them. So that's that. And then on defense, we are, fighters on retreat. So we always retreat early.
Sorry, Chese. Before we move on, one thing you're doing differently, and I apologize if this rubs anybody the wrong way.
No.
The strategy that Scout put out, or that Splinter put out a few days ago, does have a very strict doctrinal directive that all the damage goes onto the strong side until the strong side is down. Here is you're doing something that I think everyone here in this team is used to doing, which is make sure to take both shields down on the first offense. which is basically when shields are down on the strong side, go for weak side and take those shields down. Do you see any reason to vary that so that you focus all the damage on strong side at all times and have the entire ball of death around the strong side versus the few second split that it takes the other fighter to go over to weak side, try to pop or dent weak side shields to come back to strong side? Do you see any benefit in just
the difference between us and Splinter is we bring more ion, so it costs them more to drop the shields than it costs us. Like Scalp doesn't have ion missiles.
Okay, that's a fair. Yeah, because then it takes Rinky and Ari just 5 seconds to go over one click out, punt out an ion missile and come back. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Maybe the question is also somewhat map dependent as well, because sometimes they're really close to each other, right? And it doesn't cost you anything to lob an ion missile at sometimes, but other times it takes you forever to get to that other cruiser sometimes.
Right, in Xavian, for instance, you can just flip over the other one, dumb fire, and then turn right back. Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
maybe. Okay, we'll let Chese.
Fair enough. Yeah, sorry, Chese. Go ahead.
So, on defense, our concept is always to retreat early. When we know we're gonna flip, we want to get ready to play defense as fast as possible. So on defense, fighters shoot ion missiles. So there's going to be always 2 fighters that should have ion missiles. This is Rinky and Arios. They shoot their ions into the Raider as fast as possible, and then support is swapping into a Raider Buster to nuke. They do bring a Goliath to help with AI farm. This is results in a slower Raider kill, but we're okay with that. Helping to get AI is always a net positive there. The Strike Fighter, so Rinky is usually helping Pseudo kill the Raider, and then after the Raider is down, this person, so Rinky helps with PK afterwards. After the Raider goes down, support does go back and swap into a support. And then the 2 hard objective players hunt AI together, so this is me and D-Strick. And the whole concept is a rotation concept. So one person must always be on AI. Sometimes it's both of us, but it's not always. And this rotation is always communicated. So if I'm in an X-Wing on offense and I'm falling back, and I tell D-Strick, hey, switch into a Y-Wing. If I see D-Strick is in is in spawn and he can switch easily, like switch to a Y-Wing, I'm gonna stay in an X-Wing. You got an AI farm. So we communicate that, he switches, I help with the Raider kill, and then I swap. Unless we are close to the switch, then I will just kill AI in an X-Wing. And then, I know this was asked earlier, so one or both of us, me and D-Trick, will help Pseudo kill the Raider to get it down faster. That's important. Killing the Raider fast is really good. Like, to add on to this, we've seen some concepts come out within the last week that might lend to not killing the Raider at all, but I'm not gonna get into those. It's just dependent on what the other team is running into you.
So basically you're a tease.
What's up?
You're a tease.
What do you mean I'm a tease?
I mean, you're gonna say
I'm not gonna give you the whole story
concept and then not tell us about it.
We'll come back Monday.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's that. So
the plan was always to have a debrief on Monday, similar to this. So
yeah, I don't think we're gonna see it on Calicut at all. But it's just something that I've heard inklings about, and maybe I have helped people test out. That might be really strong, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they're gonna pull it out, so I don't think it's gonna happen.
So what you're saying is ignore the Raider unless the circumstances call for it.
I'm saying always kill the Raider unless there is a circumstance that it's not worth the kill.
So unless you shouldn't kill it. Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only time you should probably put it off is on a timing issue, like if they're about to kill both cruisers, you wait a little bit on the Raider.
There's those little minute details. I guess I didn't put those in here.
I got you.
When you're about to lose your frigates, don't kill the fucking Raider because you're gonna lose morale right away anyways. The only exception to that rule is if you have a bunch of AI farm already, then you can kill the raider. But it's like, there's like a little bit of these smaller details that I'm not sharing, but it's not because I don't think that they're important. I'm just not sharing them because they're really more complicated concepts that aren't super easy to describe.
There's a lot of nuance involved.
Right.
Gotcha.
So any other
going
questions?
for strategy, not tactics.
Yeah.
So here's a team question. Since we all think of you guys as superhuman, do you guys still call the basic stuff?
Such
as that situation there. Don't pop the raider yet.
Yes.
Or pop the raider. We're at we're plus 20. You still call
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Okay.
I've listened to their comms, and I can, pseudo.
Yeah, they still call it out. They still call the hold.
We never stop
never
talking,
assume.
basically.
Never assume.
Never
okay.
stop talking.
Yeah.
Comms are huge.
Yeah, so that's always really important. I mean, even, now that we've switched back into the double bomber defenses with D-Shirk and I, we call out AI packs that we're going for so that we don't overlap on the AI packs that we're killing, which is really important because you can totally shoot 2 sets of MLMs at targets and, waste a cooldown. So that's important too.
And the fact we call out all that basic stuff is part of why we're good.
Got it. Never assume, yeah. Okay.
It keeps everyone on the same page, right? So you don't get sidetracked.
Right.
How do you guys deal with the ping pollution? With if you're I guess I should assume are you pinging a pack, or are you saying I'm taking this pack on the left?
We ping.
Okay, and then how do the PKs deal with the ping pollution?
It's called out. I go D-Shirk, I'm going for this pack, and then ping it, so that Rinky and Arias know not to, grab the target I'm looking at. Or if they might be, they might be looking at it and then realizing it's AI and then moving on.
Okay.
But I think it's more likely that we are very clear about, hey, this is an AI pack that I am targeting, so that the other group, everybody else in the group knows.
Yeah, the way we do it on the porgs is on the opener. Before the open is decided, the objective players own the pings to decide which packs they're going to go for. But after that, the PKers own the pings because the PKers need to be able to ping a target and converge on it. That's the way we do it on the porg. So if I ping something, I know that Fett or Coral is going to be collapsing on it as well. And if someone on the other side needs a peel, whatever, we will ask them, okay, ping, and then they will ping, and then we will respond to that ping, knowing that, okay, a peel has been requested. We have to respond to it. But the proactive pinging relies on the PKers because they're the ones that are going to have to be switching targets most frequently. That's how we handle it on ports.
My question on that is all of that extra mental strain worth it than just calling out by name and cycle targeting?
Absolutely, because cycle targeting takes time, and when you can get a ping, think of it as when you're chasing a target and you're trying to get a kill, say on Rinky and Arias. You're chasing a very squirrely target. You get somebody else to call a ping that's a higher priority, it's much easier to just click on the acknowledge button and then follow the indicators over to that dude, as opposed to you taking 2 or 3 seconds to cycle through the targets until you find the dude you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
The easy way to do it is just say what you're pinging.
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
Just be vocal.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll also say, I don't think that this will sound weird, but somebody on your team should know where AI packs are on the opener, so that you don't ping them.
Right.
I don't ping the AI packs that I'm going for, and
Right.
D-Shirk doesn't ping the ones he's going for. I'm very, if you ever watch when me and D-Shirk play, I will tell him which AI pack that he's going after. I'm very
that makes sense.
very coordinated. I know which ones I'm going for. I know which one D-Shirk needs to go for.
To be honest, by now we should all know these maps pretty much by heart.
Yeah, well, I don't know all the AI packs by heart.
I don't know them by heart, so but yeah.
I'm not going to say that you need to know them yet. I think it's something to work on. There's some small things that you can improve on. So is there any other questions about cap ship offense and defense before we move on?
You could always have a spreadsheet.
I do have a question. Does having a blue LED on my stick maybe make me deal more damage on a cap ship or less?
No, that's Ion.
Or you need a red LED.
Yep.
All right. Any actual questions before we move on?
Onward.
All right.
Onward and forward.
So, well, this is the end game. We're talking about flagship offenses. I don't talk about flagship defense. If you need to know flagship defense, refer to this section. It's the same concept. So, these are how we play our setups. So, New Republic, we group up. We always want to go in as a 4 or 5 stack. The worst is 3 members, and one always has to be pseudo that goes in. And then we always swap over to X-Wings. So if D-Shirk or Iron and Y-Wing, we will swap out. Everyone has an ion missile outside of pseudo. Okay, this is a strict rule, needs to be followed for our concepts that we play. Pseudo's cloaks us around 1.5 to 2 km from the flagship. If we can get closer, that's better. But it's dependent on when pseudo gets pressured. Mask always needs to get activated because it's the most important part. And then once the support is close enough, they will launch Mark to attach to the flagship. This is also very important. You have to get Mark on the flagship for the concepts that we run. If we can't get Mark on, we have to change up on the fly. So what that usually entails is we will... So let's move on first and then I'll go back to that. So vital to get that. Now either pseudo will evasively fly and try to stay in zone or fall back until his cooldowns are out, then comes back in. 2 of the X-Wings, usually Rinky and I, will go in for sloops to disable both shield generators. So because Mark is on, ion missiles disable with just 1 ion missile. Everyone will now target a shield gen, 1 by 1, then destroy both. So I will either call out, hey, mine's low, go on mine, or Rinky will call out his, and we'll shoot one down at a time, and then go for the other. We don't go for them separately. It's always go down for one first. If both shield gens get disabled, so if Rinky and I's ion missiles both hit, and there's a little bit of glitchiness here that doesn't always happen. So either one of the other 2 X-Wings, they will go down and use their ion missile to take power down. So it's a one-shot. If this doesn't happen, if someone's not in the zone, Hammer, yeah, somebody is recording this. Oh, he left already. That's okay. So if this doesn't happen and Mark goes away, you will hear in comms, I will ask Arios or Rinky or D-Shirk if their ion missile is off cooldown. And the second that it is, we both go down, ion missile to power, and then head back up and kill the shield gens again. Next thing, you kill destroy targeting. After that, you destroy hull and hull breaches, and we always count up to 5.
So what you're saying is the important thing is to take the shields down as soon as possible to facilitate attack runs on the shield gens.
Pretty much. It's easier to, and you don't have to actually even sloop. I sloop to get extra cap ship damage on the shield gens, but you don't actually even need a sloop for these runs. You can literally just keep flying straight at it. The second that you get past the shields, don't fire your ion missile. Marks on it, it'll go down. I go for sloops just to get that little extra cap ship damage in, and then that way one of the shield gens is always lower than the other one.
So with a mark up, 1 ion missile disables a subsystem?
Yes.
Yep. Remember also that as soon as the shields are down, passive damage starts kicking in as well as the Raider if it's up, so it's huge hull damage.
Yeah.
And it's down twice as long as brute forcing the shields.
The one-shot generator disable is why I will never swap out of Mark for flag offense. Under no circumstances will I not be flying Mark on flag.
Absolutely makes sense.
Yes,
question.
No. Sorry, I'm waving to Jack.
Oh, okay.
So you're taking down the second frigate, and pseudo gets unfortunately picked off.
Right.
Do you not go in?
It's kind of fly by the wheel kind of shit.
Yeah, it's highly variable.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we're really good at is adapting to the situation that's at hand. And so there are definitely times where if pseudo went down like 10 seconds ago and he's about to come out of hand, we'll just wait. If pseudo just went down, like let's say we're going in on the attack and pseudo dies. That's happened. It happened against IN. So what happens is D-Shirk, or not D-Shirk, Rinky and I will shoot both ion missiles into the same shield gen and then kill the other one. Right? That will take down all the shields, and then you kill the other shield gen that's been disabled.
Is there any circumstance you see value in brute forcing the shields with a torp?
I mean, you could go talk to the Randalorians, I guess.
They don't even do that anymore.
No, they adopted our concept.
I haven't seen them do that in a long time.
Yeah, they adapted our concept. That's why.
There's, I suppose I can think of reasons to go for a straight destroy instead of disable, but not torpedoes particularly.
No, what I'm talking about is, for example, if you're able to disable one of the shield gens and one of your guys is coming in from behind with an ion torp to take down shields.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess
whack him down in one blow, just to give you a few extra seconds so that you can have a clear shot at the second shield.
I think outside of Rinky, our team doesn't play torpedoes.
Right, beyond strategic, strategically it has no value. That's what you're saying, and I think
it's not
Mark,
better. I think is.
I understand that. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I think we're. Yeah.
Is Siren talking? Siren, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
There you are.
There you are. Yeah, I don't know if you've been talking this whole time. We couldn't hear you the whole time.
No, I just started. Here.
Alexander Feliciano, you may go ahead and speak.
Yeah, it is strictly worse than disabling the shield generators because pulling off a disablement on a subsystem prevents it from coming up for longer than the shields would on their own.
Right. Yeah, it's a minute-long disable. And then and only then do they start coming back.
This is true. You're absolutely right. I had not thought of that. Disable is longer than actually dealing damage.
Twice as long.
Yeah, Githrin, you saying that? It's funny, man. I mean, I remember. I think it was like Wraith and Tempest were both trying this. They were both trying this.
Back in November.
Yeah, and I was there helping. Like I was testing it with y'all, and I was just like, it's pretty good. And I was like, I don't know.
Well, no, that was later on. That was.
No, I remember testing this with Chili once.
Yeah, it was.
We actually had a.
That was a month or two after I put it up in Wraith. I hear Chili's trying to do this. Oh hell yeah! I want to get involved in this.
This was in December. You're absolutely right. I remember being in on that science session.
Yeah.
This is kind of pre-chaff meta, right? Before we really kind of realized how strong that was at stopping torps and whatnot. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think that it was people. I don't know. I don't really know. I think
no. The meta that we researched that time with Chili was ion missile and ion primaries on the shield gens like you. Ion missile and ion primary. One of the shield gens with a mark to increase the impact, and then you do the back sloop where you do one and then you flip around the engines and then you sloop back under the back shields and then you nail this. You disable the second shield gen. This works on the ISD on the 75. On the 75, we haven't gotten there yet, but I believe that on the 75, the valuable move is a Zyfast. What I've come to describe as the Zyfast turn. Just take a shield gen, turn south, take power.
I don't think there's a lot of value in killing power, but that's just me. We do it just to do it, but I don't think there's a lot of value in doing it.
It deals a morale blow, like psychologically.
Power is free.
It's about time, I think.
Yeah,
I do agree with that. Power is a freebie.
Yeah.
Blowing things up that are easy to blow up is better than not blowing
Every second you spend killing the almost free power is a second you didn't spend killing the ship. It's not quite free.
Yeah, and passive damage will pop all of the whole sections that you need for your weak points anyways. I don't really think power is worth it unless you're shooting an ion missile into it.
Well, certainly not before the shield gens are down, but afterwards.
Right. I mean, afterwards,
power with an ion missile, or does that have to be a torpedo?
Ion missile.
I'm getting ahead of the presentation. I'm sure that we're going to hear about that in the next step.
Ion missile with Mark will take down power systems.
But I mean, he could spawn that weak point on the very back section, right above the engine block. So
right. Yeah.
And yes, Jackson, this is the Tiberius Zon.
Oh my God!
Not to be confused with Zukov.
But so I think destroying targeting is the next best thing after shield gens. I will always sit on that fucking horse and die on it. I know Scout feels differently than I do, and that's okay.
I would have to agree that taking targeting is both a strategic, emotional, and mental victory right at that point.
The exception is if it's clear we can win that phase.
Yeah, no.
Agreed.
Even if we can win the
100%
phase,
agree.
I will kill targeting. If you ever watch me play, I will always take down
Yeah,
targeting.
Chese will do it, even if it's not necessary.
It's an insurance policy, I guess. That's
Sirens
how I
in
see
that
it.
camp.
Yeah, it's the best play,
Hey, a
man.
naked ship is the best ship, right?
You love targeting.
Absolutely.
It's the best thing to kill, man.
Siren, we already know your name is Alexander. You might as well leave it the same.
Does anybody
You
have
might forget-
questions?
you might forget.
Does anybody have questions about the approach that we do, how we pull it off?
Yes, do you approve of my chosen scotch?
Get out of here. Does anybody actually have questions, or we'll move on?
You don't go over cap ship defense, do you? I mean flagship.
No. Flagship defense, I think, is pretty much the same as cap ship defense.
So I have a question on that. How do you deal with midfield pressure?
So, like you're saying, if they're coming out to meet us in the midfield,
Yeah.
If enemy
usually
comes
we
out,
just
try
shoot
to get
them.
him mid.
Just shoot.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know,
Easy.
If you're trying to,
I know
if they're trying
it's
to kill you,
humorous to
don't
say
die.
that, but that's all we do. We still fly. We don't really break off our formation, and we just shoot at them as they come at us.
It's a good rule of thumb to pull the trigger if your reticles are red, right?
And the only person that will peel is Arius. Dietrich, Rinky, and I will still fly with Pseudo into the capture or the flagship. The only person that helps peel will be Arius to peel somebody off of us.
Gotcha.
Sorry if this was mentioned earlier, but you have two people going for gens. What's the third person doing during that?
Insurance and killing the shield gen. So like if you know, ion missiles have the same issue that torpedoes do. Sometimes they just phase through them and don't disable it. It's happened a million times to us. So that third person's always insurance, and then if both shield gens go down, that third person will go down and hit power, because Marek will still be on.
And sometimes someone gets killed, you know.
Yeah.
So they're just waiting at kind of a distance where they could go for either.
Yeah.
Now, are you able to achieve all this before the enemy AI farmers make a dent in morale?
I would say yes. I don't think.
It depends on where we are right when the flip happens. I mean, this is like if I'm forward and all of us are alive, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like if you notice, so there's like some other concepts that we run that are a little bit more complicated, but so when we have one frigate down to like 50%, I'll call, we get one more mark, we kill this frigate, and then Pseudo saves his next one for when we go in. We don't use 2 marks on a 50% whole frigate. We get 1 mark, everybody focus fires the fuck out of it, we kill it, and then we go. And Pseudo is ready to go in on the next offense. The second we get it, once we go down, everybody's going in. We don't go back and restock, we just go.
Straight in. Makes sense.
Saving that mark is really key.
It really is, and now that the cooldown's longer, you have to be even more careful about it.
Right.
With the third person, the question about the third person and insurance, what's the success criteria for that, for the first 2? Like, it's
Disable both shield gens.
No, I mean, okay. I guess with the mark and the ion missile, it's disable. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless, and then if you get a weird, you won't know, a weird missile you don't know until after anyways, right? Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, because you're doing it at the same time, correct?
Right. I mean, there's like a little bit of delay. We're not like, you know, pixel perfect, you know, but
Yeah.
it's relatively close enough that it's not a minute. You're not taking a minute in between me disabling and Rinky disabling. It's like 5 seconds at most.
Yeah, because you're each going for 1. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because if you delay the disables, it eats up that time, doesn't it?
Yeah, so actually if you disable 1 shield gen, which drops half the shield, that shield gen comes back and you disable the other one, it stays at half shields.
Yeah.
It doesn't drop even though you disabled both shield gens.
Yeah, the disabling of the shields doesn't. It's based off the first one you disable.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's so valuable to knock them both out on the first pass. If you either destroy or disable the first one and then either destroy or disable the second one, shields are going to be down for a very, very long time.
And I
a minute sounds like a short time, but it's fucking eternity.
If you can hold the phase, it's like 35% on the whole.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't mention this. If we're in the case where we only get one shield gen and the other one's only disabled or not killed, we'll just nuke shields with ion missiles coming in. We don't usually go for the another disable on it. We just nuke shields and then shoot it. Because the shields don't regen fast enough where your ion missiles can't just take down the full shields on the ISD and then just shoot down the last shield gen.
Do you see any scenario where it's valuable to just disable the shield gens versus taking them out?
No, we're not gonna pull fucking Aces 5.
You have to elaborate on that one.
Aces 5 lost to us when we had 1 HP on our MC75 because they didn't kill our shield gens and just disabled them.
Right. I remember that one, and
there's
that
not,
was
there
an
wouldn't be
epic loss on their part.
The way we play it, there's not a time to assess whether there would be a scenario of that type. You disable them, you immediately destroy them.
Right.
Right.
There you go.
I see what you mean. With shields down, it's so much easier to get a line on. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to back out for the kill.
Right. All right. So any more questions about this concept?
What do you do if there's a guy, camping out on the shield gens, trying to chaff you?
Or pulling what I forget who it was. I think it was.
And that's also why you have insurance, right? So he can only chaff one of them. I'll get one, or Rinky will get his, and then D-Shirt can get the other side. There's always these, contingencies that exist so that we don't fuck up too bad.
Also, you can bait the chaff.
You can do that too.
Furthermore, that's one of the advantages over ion missile over the torpedoes. If they chaff your first one, if they chaff and you haven't fired it, you can just circle around the back. You don't have to do another sloop or something.
Yeah, you don't
It's
have
like,
to
okay,
sloop.
fine,
You don't
I'll-
have to do
I'll
anything silly
just
like that.
be behind it.
Just
So-
fire them, yeah.
So here's another interesting question. Do you see any value to running ion primaries as a dedicated shield disabler?
No, because you have to swap.
Yeah.
What if you don't swap right out of the box?
Well, then how are you ever going to get ion primaries?
Yeah,
I run that sometimes on support.
Yeah, support, that's fine. But we're not going to send pseudo in there to go shoot down the shield gen.
I run that sometimes on defense because ioning an incoming bomber or an incoming damage dealer is much quicker than actually destroying them. You ion them, then either your other PK cleans up or the actual ships clean up.
Sure.
Yeah, if
that's
you're running
that's
ion
why I run them
primaries
in a
anyway, then sure, why not? But
we
I
don't.
wouldn't do it in order to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
It's an augmentation to ion damage, really.
Right. And the problem is, if you're running ion primaries, you're not doing objective damage.
Yeah,
and
that's
at
what
the
I
end of
was
the
saying.
day,
That's a trade-off.
At the end of the day, this is not a fucking dogfighting game. It is a fleet battles objective race.
Too hard of a trade-off, in my opinion.
I don't even bring ion primaries for the flag offense if I am swapping at any point. Like, I've got ion primaries for most of the game, but if later on I'm dead or we're doing a second phase, I take regulars so I can do capture damage.
I see you. Okay, fair enough.
All right, so Empire concept is pretty much the same. We group up, engage as a 4 or 5 stack. At least has to be 3 of us. One of them is almost always pseudo. And this Empire side is a lot easier to execute. You don't actually always need pseudo there. But it's good to have pseudo there. Mask and Mark is super strong. Same concept. You're cloaking around 1.5k to 2k out, depending on how much pressure pseudo's feeling. Same concepts here. So if there are 2 bombers up, so in the concept where we are running 2 high defenders and 2 bombers, D-Shirk and I will split shield gens. So I will hit one, D-Shirk hits the other. In the case that there is only 1 bomber, so D-Shirk is the only person that plays bomber the whole game. I will switch out to TIE defenders most of the time because I think it's just better. Right now, especially with the patch that hit Monday or Tuesday, TIE defenders are just fucking broken again. So,
why does D-Strix stay in a bomber? Is it personal preference or
personal preference? Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's okay to have 1 bomber out there. If we're not 4 defenders, it's always it's probably a little bit better.
It forces someone who's in an ion to be in a sticky situation if they think it's
right. Even against even 3, Ion tried playing triple Y-wing ICT against triple defenders, and we smoked them. It wasn't a problem. If you're
It's
smart,
no, I'm thinking more like an A-wing with ions. Yeah, I hear what you're
it's
saying.
just it's just not good. And then ion A-wings. If you run ray shield, they're basically a moot point. You don't give a fuck about an ion A-wing. So if there's only one bomber, they'll hit one side shield gen, and then Rinky and I will team up on the other side. And this is all really fluid. Because we aren't disabling shield gens as much on the MC-75 because we're just nuking them, communicating the hull or the HP left on a shield gen and how much you think you will be able to get on it is very important. So if D-Strike's going in, and if you listen, to the comments from Pseudo's stream from our Ion game, the first game on Xavian, D-Strike's like, I'm going in, I'm low, I'm not sure I'll get this. And if you watch, from my point of view, because I think Scalp is watching me go in when D-Shirt calls that. I'm looking at his shield gen, and only when he gets it do I swap and go to the other shield gen. And it's like, it's like split-second decision, but those are like the important things, This fluid attack on the MC-75 is very important. And I was in a bomber at the time, so we didn't split because D-Shirt called out that he wasn't sure he was going to get it.
And this speaks to Zyphus's question about communicating simple things. Like, even if, say I die after I get the beacon off, which is not uncommon, I'll be sitting on the TAC map calling stuff out. Like, okay, that shield is down. That shield's at maybe 20%. Even though everybody's getting the notification the shield generator was destroyed or all of that, not everybody's paying attention to that very second necessarily. So even if it's redundant, it's better to say it than not.
Right, the overview. I agree. Here's an interesting question though. Have you guys taken metrics of how many passes with, let's say that you're each running defenders with burst. Have you guys taken inventory of how many passes with 2 or 3 hits from the burst it takes to take down a shield gen?
No, because Pseudo has Mark on it, and then if I can get burst lasers, Conk and cluster on it, you can nuke a shield gen in like 2 passes. The only time it's not 2 passes is when I fuck it up.
Okay, that's actually the question.
What
the expectation is. Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it in 1 pass. A defender cannot kill that shield gen in 1 pass unless they were camping and just shooting it. But there's no point in doing that. You might as well just speed pass it and get your payload off and then come back around it. Your defender is much faster, more elusive.
And if you mosquito, you're gonna get creamed. So yeah.
Right. Bomber, it's okay to fucking mosquito. You're sacking 10 morale for a shield gen. It's a different story. So, that's the concept. And then, the next thing we destroy is targeting. It's always targeting. Power is only killed if Pseudo has Mark on it and somebody has an eye missile. That's it. Otherwise, we're always killing targeting first.
Right, because once the shields are down, power is a gimme.
Yeah. And if you are Empire and you're not attacking flagship first, you're doing something wrong. If you are Empire, you should be attacking flagship first. You need to destroy this targeting system. It will cripple the defense, or it'll cripple your opponent's offenses in the next phases.
Have we scienced out how long taking targeting affects the tractor beam? Because I do hear a lot of people complaining about getting snatched by the tractor beam.
I don't think targeting disables tractor beams.
No, it doesn't, but it slows down the lock.
I'm not sure about that.
Really?
Apparently, the word on the street is that it's supposed to, because of the drop down it has in terms of the the effectiveness of turrets and whatnot, and the overall ship's defenses. So that's what I was wondering, if anybody has scienced out what targeting does to the tractor lock on.
As far as I know, nothing.
Okay.
All it changes is passive damage.
Fair enough.
Do you kill tractor beams?
No.
I mean, given the opportunity, I will take a tractor beam just to make the bomber's life easier, because.
Sure. I mean, other people might, but Team Chese does not.
It's not a priority. It's not a priority.
We never shoot tractors.
It's an opportunity. Yeah, not a priority.
You can stick your throttle to 0 and hit boost, and you're out of it.
Yeah.
No matter what ship you're in.
Yeah, I've grown less afraid of the tractor at all.
You do have to boost a couple 2 or 3 times. So you
boost
do have to
once.
have.
You can boost once
Yeah.
if you use stepping.
Once if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
Question about when you're in a bomber.
Okay.
Cheese. Where do you put your golo? Your dumb golo?
What do you mean on the
MC-75. Yeah.
I know you're supposed to put it so you can kill those. I know the concept is to shoot it at the what's it called? The turbo lasers, because you get like 4 of them for an extra 1%. 4% or whatever. That's where you're supposed to put them. I don't think I actually do that in practice. I just shoot it wherever I'm pointed, because like I get where you're coming from. I think the more important thing for me is to take the shield gen down, and it's just easier for me not to have to worry about it.
Don't big brain it and then get yourself killed. That's what you're saying.
And it's the same concept of why. It's the same reason why I don't do boost gasping, right? It's like mentally taxing. The gains is a little bit. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
Okay.
Don't tell him where to put his Galos. He's about to go up against the Porgs.
The subsequent
Don't get him any
question there
tips.
was because of the. That's the only other time. That's the only other time I'll put a Golo into a tractor, is if I've already taken out a turbo laser battery.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, dude. There's probably a million better things that I could be doing, but I don't, because I just don't put the time in.
I did at one point. I did science out the putting a Galo in the middle of the hangar, for example, to take out both tractors. I did science that out, and it was a pain in the ass. So it was a royal pain. In the end,
I can't make it happen in a real game.
Exactly. I can't make it. Yeah. That's
So,
what I
any
gave
other
up on.
questions about the flagship offense for Empire?
You've talked about it before with us, but that out of phase on Fostar that you guys did with the 2-click Golos. I don't know if everyone has heard that. I think
I remember that.
gold.
I remember watching that. Yes, absolutely.
Are you guys willing to go over that again, or is that?
Yeah, so we can talk about that really quickly.
It was
so.
I mean, I've already heard this, but I don't know if everyone has. And if everyone has, we can skip over it.
So the concept of out of phasing on flagship is that if you have, let me think about the best way to talk about this. I can't bring up paint because I don't really have it. Let's see. Let's insert an oval or shape. Okay. So say this is the MC-75. Okay. So the MC-75 will only shoot at these turbo lasers, and lasers on this side will shoot this way, and then the other ones will shoot the bottom side. So this is looking at the top of it. Targeting system would be here. So what you can do conceptually, and this works on the ISD as well, is if you have 2 defenders that are circling and dead drifting around out here, what you can do is I can fucking come up and kiss this MC-75 and it won't kill me. So
will or won't?
It won't. It won't be able to shoot me. And I did this on Utslist too. It works the same way. And so you just have these 2 defenders that are circling out here. They draw all the fire. Everybody else that goes in doesn't get shot at. These guys just have to make sure that they're good at dead drifting, and they have to make sure that they're on the same side. That's it. The other concept is to just shoot Goliaths and proton torpedoes at 2 clicks out. That works too. But this is a much if you need to get 20%, this is a much more efficient way of doing it. Don't go in one by one and try to get your little thing off. Set it up so that somebody's circling and then you go in. And these people that are just circle drifting, shoot your fucking lasers, because you might hit a shot and it's worth it. So that's the concept for out of phasing in general.
So how far should those guys circling be from the MC-75 or the Star Destroyer?
I think it's like 700 or something. I think it's like 700 or 600. Suda, do you remember? It's not, neither me or Suda are the ones doing it. So it's like 600 or 700.
I think it's 700.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, enough time to, or rather, close enough to draw the fire, far enough to have time to dick away from it.
Well, all you're doing is just dead drifting in circles. You're not looking at lasers shooting at you. You're just dead drifting and using that to dodge the bullets.
You're just calling the torch to you. That's it. So that somebody a little bit out of range can just start lobbing grenades. That's what you did that time. You were just chucking the gullas over.
Yeah, and I've done that on S-List too. It works. You can do it on any map as long as you're coordinated enough.
I have a question regarding.
That makes sense.
Yeah, go ahead, Siren.
What do you do regarding defending an objective that's out of phaseable? Do you sacrifice your strategy to keep that? Obviously on flagship you would, but perhaps on frigates.
Yeah, so.
Because there would be big hits in morale.
Right. So. Yeah. So if your flagship is out of phaseable, like your flagship's at like 10, and theirs is at like 70%. We usually leave like 2 people behind to play defense, and everybody else will go in. Is that what you're asking?
Right.
Yeah. So that's how we kind of play it.
In the case of a frigate that's out of phaseable, do you just let it go?
Depends. So this is another minute detail that I didn't bring up earlier. Is so when you have one frigate up, it is better to leave it than kill it, because passive damage will increase when you take down both frigates.
Passive damage.
So what you're saying? Passive damage will be more when the frigates are done versus when the frigates are still alive.
Correct.
Passive damage against you?
Yes.
When you've taken out both frigates.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because conceptually it's because the flagship is shooting you and the flagship has big guns. That's.
Yeah, I think that's what they were thinking. I guess I don't fucking know. But that's what happens. So it's okay to out of phase one of them, but you don't want to out of phase both until you're going on the offense. So like, if you're about to go on offense and you need like 15 more morale to get it, then go kill that out of phase and then go in. Like,
This is what you guys have done to me. Look at where the scotch is. Jesus.
That's what you're supposed to do. But yeah,
I get it.
That's like another like minute thing that I left out, because it's not. I don't think it's that important to tell you guys, but it's like in the game and it exists. Because like
I had not known that before, so thanks.
And Siren, if you were asking about defending your out of phaseable frigates, it's very hard to stop someone from out of phasing, and so of course you can shoot them if you're there, but it's not worth putting a lot of attention on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The effort of trying to protect a frigate that's at 5% is so gargantuan versus the actual gain you get from it that it's just really not worth it.
We're at the bottom of the document, right?
Yes, this is.
No,
there's no more.
With an oval.
The bottom of the document is
I'm gonna ask a dumb question from one of the earlier phases.
Yep.
How do you find the Raider or the Corvette on offense fast?
Map.
Ooh.
Map
And
check. So we use map check and then pseudo looks.
one thing that I found I found it today really because I started looking. The Raider is always a star. So if you kind of like look for the star and you put it on the center.
Know that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the important thing.
No, but here's the thing. A lot of the time, just by looking for the star and putting it in the center of your radar, you get a good bearing of where it is. It doesn't.
Sure, but you can just click to the map real quick and look.
Yeah.
Like the map is always going to be faster.
Except in Foster.
Yeah, Foster.
That was going to be my subsequent question.
Yeah, so Foster you use visual confirmation, so pseudo will look for it.
And that's only on the initial one because every subsequent frigate phase, the
higher hit points. Yep.
Yes, it's going to go to the stronger side.
Yep.
Well, on the first one, you can also turn sideways real quick and look for the star.
Yeah, but the star only appears when it's within your draw range of I think 1500 or 2000. So it's further away than that. You have to visually confirm it. It's not a star.
So in general, the tech map is super duper useful. Don't be afraid to pop out of your first person view for a second to check it.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the tech map quite a lot.
Yeah,
I've been doing that a lot recently. So yes,
one of the things that's
valuable.
I'm curious if anyone else has been using for Fostar is the frigate fire to locate the Raider.
I use frigate fire and audio cues as well.
Okay.
So if you ever and like I know I stream this very rarely, but if you ever notice and I'm flying away from the front lines and I call out the frigate, it's because I'm listening to where it is and I don't look at the map. So audio cues are definitely in the game. You can use them. I don't think a lot of people do that, but it's a thing.
Yeah, it requires good headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't use 7.1, surround sound, whatever bullshit. That's not actually legitimate, but whatever.
I get you.
Yeah, so any other questions over the whole document?
On the PK strat, you guys seem to go one-on-one with Arius being the only dedicated PK versus what other teams do, which is having 2 dedicated PKs and having them converge on targets. Do you see any advantage or disadvantage to that strategy?
Not enough objective damage.
So you're prioritizing objective damage over PKs.
And that's why you have a flex player.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 flex
Arios
players
will
for a
call
reason.
Okay.
Target and Dietrich or Rinky will help finish it off.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're not doing objective damage with all of your players, if you notice, like, all of our games that we played, like, yeah, I have the most, but, like, Dietrich's right there. Rinky and Arius usually have 20, 30k. Pseudo has 10k. If you're not getting capture damage on every single of your players, you're playing wrong.
Okay.
And the only exception is the support.
I got you.
And the only reason Pseudo has objective damage is because he's killing the Raider.
Yeah.
Can we share this with you guys really quick? It's a link. Cheese.
Yeah.
This is our this was our top secret walk strat.
Yeah, I think I've seen this. I didn't actually open it because
Let me poach on Guap's
wow,
strategy.
yeah, that's a great
before
document.
we play them.
Cheese.
Mwahaha, you are mine. You are mine.
Yeah, I had seen it, but I never opened it.
I
because,
love the title, dude.
I never opened it because I never asked. So like.
Oh, does it require permissions?
No, I just don't open
Okay.
things in team channels without asking teams beforehand.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you can see in.
Yeah, I can see
channels.
everybody's channels. I just never open things because I don't want to do that to people.
Wait, isn't that
Team
Fred's?
Goose.
That's Fred's essay to. That's his application.
That's Fred's application.
So
for Guac.
Ziff, I love the team good. I love the
We
team
told him he
good.
had to submit a 7-page essay on the value of teamwork.
Okay.
And he actually did.
God.
That's great.
We at Team Porg are going to have to reel from this. We are reeling. We're
So
going
any
to
other
have to figure
questions?
out
I know Scribbler just joined. I'm sorry, Scribbler. You can watch the VOD after. But so any other questions before we call it wraps? And I'll
Is strategy fun for you?
Yeah, I think strategy is fun. That's the only reason. I mean, here's the thing, okay? I don't really enjoy playing Star Wars Squadrons. I enjoy beating the fuck out of everybody else. I don't. I'm not here to play. I'm not here to play the game and just enjoy the game. I'm here to beat everybody.
Plus fun.
But I tell you what, some of our other teammates definitely
aren't the same way.
Get some joy out of it. Like if you listen to Arios on comms, he is clearly having the time of his life most of the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm just hyper competitive. Like I don't play games to have fun. I play to beat other people.
Yeah, I could feel the enjoyment, the
like
ecstasy when Arios posts a clip.
Yeah, Arius loves getting kills. He loves like the thrill of the game.
Yeah,
Arius just likes I'm more on that side for sure.
Yeah,
and that's one reason why Arios is the hard PK, because hard PK is really fun and he cares about having a ton of fun.
He wants another hit.
See, that's why I do what I do. If you aren't first, you're last.
There it is, Chris.
And I like, and I've also like taken a step back from that mentality for this team because we're not a hardcore team, man. Like I've played 10 hours of this game in the last 2 weeks. That's it. Like I don't play this game much. I don't think any of us really play it that much. All the other top teams like practice like out the butt.
Here is the hilariously demoralizing part of that. What you said is absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, when we started playing this game, we only had practices 2 days a week, and we played every single night for multiple hours.
Yeah, that is. We have not been slackers.
You know,
the whole time. That's
we
the
got good, and then now we're slacking because I think everybody just wants to play other games. Like this
I
isn't
still
the
play Squadrons a lot, but I think I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to play some fucking For Honor today. Like
Yeah.
it was shit like that. Yeah, it's just it's just what happens when you play a game for
Yeah,
fucking
we
4 or 5 months straight.
Yeah, you get sick of it a little bit, and then you want to play other games.
Sometimes I imagine how good we would be if we practiced as much as like the randos or Splinter do, and it's kind of a terrifying thought.
Yeah, I don't really want to. I'm too lazy.
But only if you want to. Yeah,
I want to
she's
either, but
she's just stole it out of
it's
my
a
mouth.
fun thought.
Only if you want to. Yeah.
I don't really want to.
Why? There's no. Yeah.
All this said, I would welcome the opportunity to share whatever the next game on the line is.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. We're all gonna. We're not going nowhere. We're not
Yeah,
gonna
I
be like,
think-
oh yeah, see you guys, boys. Oh fuck, it was fun. Bye. I hate you guys. Bye.
I mean, I think Team Chese plays a lot of games together, but I think Nova does too. Nova plays Valheim together a bunch. Like it's like, yeah, we like play Squadrons, but we also play other shit together. You know.
There is.
Yeah, EFT.
3098.
Yeah, we play EFT a bunch. Although not me too much. I should play again with them, but they're always playing at 2 a.m. in the fucking morning, and I'm going to bed. So
that's the
not
only
fair.
thing. That's the only thing I resemble of everybody. Well, I resent really of having to learn another game. Everybody's always playing at such ungodly hours.
Well, I mean,
I'm an old man. I have work. Jesus.
Yeah. So, just like any other questions on this document, I'll publish the
Siren,
video and document
yes.
eventually, and I'll make it publicly available Monday or Sunday.
I don't notice.
Thank you very much, Chese. We appreciate that.
We appreciate the openness to share all this information. Really, this is just.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always tried to be pretty open with the rest of Gray Squad about our stuff. It's just kind of like more people don't ask, and so we don't go out of our way to tell. But like we're more than willing to tell, you know. And like I've said this before in teams, and it kind of gets lost every once in a while. It's like if you have questions about what we do, you're more than welcome to ask because we will tell you. We're not like obviously I'm not hiding it from any of you guys. This is exactly what we do. Like this is how we played. If you take this script and go watch the games we played against IN, they're exactly the same.
To be 100% frank, I think the biggest hurdle is when we get all these strategies on our hands is how do we apply this at the skill level that we are. That is the big challenge, and that is, for example, if I take this to Anna Jackson's here, and if I take this over to the Porgs, I know the big question is, okay, how do we incorporate this information into what we're doing now? So
here's the thing.
that's the big challenge, and it's a good challenge to have, really.
The thing with this concept that we run, the strategy we currently use, is the only part. And I'm going to turn my video on for emphasis. The only part of this that is really technically difficult is getting the disable on the shield gens. All of the rest of this, everyone could follow this, and you're going to be, depending on how good you are at the game, you're going to, be more successful or less successful. But like bringing ion missiles on basically everybody, you just do that. So yeah, it's.
Yeah, and Morg says adaptation is key. Like, I think Team Chese is very, like, its strong point is adapting. Like, we fuck around, like, the day before, op base. Oh, hey, this Mass Mark thing is pretty fucking good. It's Ario, Pseudo, and I 3-manning it the night before. It's like, we should do this. You know what we do on op base the next day? We play it. Like, there's no, there's no hesitation. We just say fuck it and do things. Like, it's very common that we've been doing that, like, for so long.
Are you guys doing op base?
We aren't playing op base. No.
Okay.
Yeah, Arios can't make it.
Arios is out of town because he's going skiing. 3 of our members have gone skiing within the last 2 months.
I was gonna say.
I call trauma about skiing at this point.
I call bullshit because we all have no social lives, so we all know that we do not have a life outside.
I got my ass kicked by a
It's
mountain
just these
recently.
rich boys out here with
Honestly.
fucking Breckenridge.
That's so mean, Goat Humper. You guys are my social life.
The internet is real now.
Rinky?
Don't forget.
Yeah, Rinky and Scribbler posted skiing pictures.
Oh shit, you're absolutely right. Rinky did
jeez.
post.
Yeah,
post
heartbreaking.
Yeah, so did
and
Juder.
here's the worst.
I saw Juder post pictures in like Nova's chat.
Here's the worst part. Rinky posted snowboarding pictures, and I've always wanted to learn snowboard. That just like right to the heart.
So
we got Scribbler stealing pictures, but we're not going to share.
If there's no other just to add on to like what Suda said, yeah, it's like I don't think our concepts are like really hard. I think execution is like
fucking Cyphaz.
I'd see it. Like, what is he pulling out a fire extinguisher? And then okay, no, wait, it's just Revan Selma. Okay.
But so I don't think anything that I've said today is like technically challenging to pull off. I think the coordination that it takes to go on these flagship offenses is, a lot of work that you get from playing with the same 4 people every single night for months.
To be frank, I think that is your biggest advantage, that you guys know each other so well by now that you can pretty much predict each other's moves and decisions.
I mean, it's just
only
work,
5
though.
players has almost dicked the shit out of us a couple times, but if we had more players, we wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, and working on getting within range with Pseudo for masking is something we worked on. It wasn't like, oh, we're just magically good at it. It's not like we're not magically good players. We put the time in to practice these things, even in comp games that are against a ladder, that are against a bunch of baby seals. We're still practicing all of the concepts that we're playing. If we're trying something new, it's against a baby seal. We're still doing it to try to see, okay, does this work? Does it not work? Yeah, this looks good. Let's keep going with it,
Yeah, for a long time, we didn't run mask because we were like, this is too much trouble. It's too hard. That was
yeah.
Because it's hard. It legit is. Those mask runs are not easy.
Yes.
But it's worth it. When you put in the, I don't know how many mask attack runs I've gone on now, but it's a lot.
Siren.
Yeah.
And the real question is,
go ahead.
How do you do all of this while Arios is shooting at you?
Yeah, you guys have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Why doesn't Arios come to Gravy Night? That
he's usually spending time with his girlfriend.
Here,
bitch.
Yeah, Wednesday night's girlfriend time.
Yeah, if Arios isn't playing with us or playing EFT, he's with his girlfriend most of the time.
What's
Or
EFT again?
skiing.
Escape from Tarkov.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So
I have been meaning to download that.
All right,
I will let the record show.
I missed what EFT was. I apologize.
It's Escape from Tarkov. So if there's no more questions, I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, dude, get with the meta.
And then I'll upload this.
You'll also sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed soon too.
Yeah.
And I think if this is beneficial to people, like we can do this like once a month, like or maybe sooner if meta changes more often than that. But every single time, like, hey, we recognize something's changed, we could put out like a message like, hey, these concepts have changed. We can talk about them really quickly, get everybody up to the same page. I know we did something with that with Nova like months ago when they came in SEL, and then we kind of just stopped doing it. Like we did it for their first match, and then like never said anything about it again. So I don't want that. I'd rather spread all the knowledge that we have out to the rest of the teams.
Oh God, Zyphas! I just read the titles on the front page of the document you shared.
The other thing is I stream like 95% of what we do together.
Yeah, Cold Stone ice cream, right?
Yeah, if we're being too lazy to be proactive about sharing stuff, it's all on stream.
Yeah, that's true.
Streaming is just hard. It's hard to watch a stream and get what we're doing. And that was made clear earlier when I think it was not Tom that said it was hard to watch a stream and understand what we're doing because it's just not vocalized exactly what the steps are.
The difference between Distracier and Fenkar. Distracier showed everything months ago, and then Fenkar says, "This is how you do it."
Right.
To be 100% honest, I am eternally grateful for you guys for you specifically, taking the time to teach us and to share the knowledge that, it's taking you a few months to gather and a few months of playing with the same guys over and over and over again. And I'm sure you guys, as Team Cheese, as a 5-stack, at the fucking like 80% win rate.
It's high.
And
I don't know.
but
I don't really fucking care.
I was trying to beat them. But yes, I am sure it's higher.